First up, let's look at the Asian markets as we do always. Largely in the green right now.
In the rural and urban basket, consumer durables have gone up significantly by a good 2-3 percentage points.
Supports there come in at 46,270, which is the 40-day exponential moving average, and then 46,011, which is the 20-day moving average.
And so I'm a little skeptical about whether artificial intelligence is ready for prime time.
Reliance Industries, as per Bloomberg reports, has signed a merger pact with Disney, and this is to merge their media operations in India.
You have CLSA, which has actually downgraded Asian Paints to sell.
RBI has advised NPCI, that is National Payments Corporation of India, to be the third-party application provider for a UPI channel.
On your screen, it's a 40-point lower.
Well, Rain Industries is lower because of a weak set of Q4 numbers.
Color, as you can see above us, is deep red.
ये पूरा रिफाइनरी को नेट कार्बन जीरो पर लाने का पूरा प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
There is some recovery which is underway.
Well, it's a slow day. What can we say? It's the start of a new week. It's a Monday, and this is closing by the last hour coming up. We're coming to you from the CNBC-TV18 News studios. I'm Prashant. With me, Surabhi and Mangalam joins in today as well. Mangalam, hi.
Hi.
It's a slow day. That's why you're here.
You know what? Let's make it a lot more fast-paced then. It is a slow day from the market standpoint, but if you were looking at the other screen, which showed the India versus England test match, it was anything but slow. You know, every run was fought for, and I think the Bulls took some note from that as well, because India won at around 130. If you pull up the intraday chart of the Nifty, you will see from there on itself, we saw a bit of a recovery. Not only has this been the best game of the series so far, remember we won the series minus Kohli. We didn't have Bumrah in this game. There you have it. You know, as soon as India hit the winning runs, Dhruv Jurel, we had a bit of a recovery. And we didn't have any of the heavyweights playing, Shami, Pant or, KL Rahul as well. And the Nifty too, we have no heavyweights participating today. Nifty IT is lower, Reliance is in the red. HDFC Bank, a mild outperformer, but despite that, there's been a decent recovery from the lows.
Well, I guess if cricket can inspire, the screen is surely reflecting that. Just to come to the movers and shakers, because we have recovered, a little bit from the lows. It's actually been a very range-bound session. We're talking 120, 130 points on the Nifty as the day's range. That's how narrow it has been. But the batsmen that are chipping in with the runs right now, L&T has been very, very smart right from the morning, so about 3% up over there. As Mangalam mentioned, HDFC Bank has been contributing. You've got Lever kind of flipping to the green side of the screen. The problem, however, is with the Asian Paints. And we'll talk more about that stock as we go along. And large cap IT. Large cap IT not quite playing ball today with the Bulls.
Absolutely. Talking about the India win and the market recovery,
Yes.
I thought you were going to present some data about how every time India plays and India recovers, the market's going to... It brought me back to something I read recently. And this somebody had put out a note saying that the top correlations for India stocks with NVIDIA's price movement.
Wow.
And I read that, well, it's fantastic, right? Then I started thinking, what? It makes no sense.
It's NVIDIA and India stocks?
Pure correlation. Nothing to do with, IT will do well because NVIDIA does well, or AI will do well here, and there are some ways to play it. So the top correlated NVIDIA stock in India is Indian hotels.
Wow.
And this is over the last 1 year. You know the old saying in statistics, right? Correlation is not causation. So it's...
You spoke about just that. You know, one of the professors in college told me that, imagine you get a puppy in your house and you also plant a tree on the same day. 3 years later, the puppy turns into a big dog. The plant becomes a medium-sized tree. Correlation, 1. Yeah. Causation, 0. It's not that the puppy caused the plant to grow or the plant caused the puppy to become a dog. Yeah, so that's
but
how
work on that, Mangalam. India wins it.
It's a slow day. You called me for that and I entertained you.
All right. Well, we're doing it a little in reverse. So we told you what stocks are moving. But here are just a few levels, right, on the market. As I said, the market is off the lows. The Nifty is completely off the lows. I think we're down about, 40, 45 points or so. Supports basically on the Nifty come in at about 21,875. This is last week's low, last Thursday's low, to be very precise. The Bank Nifty is still below its previous high, which was 47,363. Advanced decline is negative, and more stocks are down right now than they are up. Nothing large. There's some 400 sort of stock difference between what is up and what is down at this point in time. Surabhi.
Okay, by the way, just point out that today is an afternoon of denials, it seems, because Mangalam was just updating us that Sony has denied a report that suggested that they'll get into some sort of a tie-up with an OTT platform that's pretty popular down south. And Alcom has just denied that there is any sort of a investigation that's underway with the tax department. In fact, I'm just quickly going over the statement. Alcom, let's just pull up the stock. Stock has been down 6-7%, not too much of recovery. Alcom says we categorically deny allegations and rumors on reports of alleged tax evasion, have cooperated with the IT department during the survey proceedings that took place in September 23. Stock still down about 6%. So a day of corporate denials coming in. But anyway, let's quickly move on and talk about the strategies that you can look at in the last hour of trade. As always, we have Mitesh Thakkar with us for that. Mitesh, good afternoon. Very, very range-bound, stock specific. What are the bets that you are going with for the last hour?
Good afternoon. So I think, we did talk about the fact that there could be a chance of some consolidation happening in the indices. I think that process is playing on. And therefore, the idea is to identify what ranges the market could possibly do and try to buy near the lower end of the range and try to take profits near the upper end of the range. So for the Nifty, my sense is that it could be 22,050 and 22,250. I think that's a 200-point band. Once we see a break beyond 22,250, I think 22,500 is the next trading target. Having said that, on the stock side, I have a buy on LIC Housing Finance. Disclaimer, we have recommended this to our clients, so there is vested interest. I recommend a buy here with a stop below 645 for targets of 685. And the other one which I like is Motherson Sumi. I need a breakout above 116.5, 117. So conditional buy. Buy above 117 with a stop at 115 for targets of 123.
Right, Mitesh, a lot of the new age companies are actually doing very well in today's trading session as well. PB Fintech, for instance, is up around 8%. We're seeing a decent move come by on names like Car Trade Tech to Zaggle Prepaid. Things happen. It's known for big moves on select days, and today seems to be one of those days, up 14% today. This month it's up around 40%, and in 2024 so far itself, it's seen a near 50% move. Strong commentary coming in from the management as well. Any of these that you like?
So I haven't been tracking Zaggle, but Car Trade and PB Fintech, yes. I like Car Trade. See, if you look at the history or the last many weeks of price movement Mangalam, we saw a weekly high, closing high of 880 on the 12th of November, and since then the stock was correcting. I think that correction has come to an end, and we are seeing some kind of a breakout today. Would recommend accumulating this with a stop below 706, and once we see a closing above 745, 750, then I think good chance that we might look at another 100 points on the upside. So very bullish over there. The other one is Policy Bazaar. Again, stock is making fresh highs, so I don't have a trade right now because it's run away too far from its averages. But if somebody's holding, keep a stop just below levels of 1,000 and hold. I think the extended target which I'm looking at is around 1230.
Okay, all right, got that. Mitesh, thank you very much for the trading calls. We'll come back to you for some more ideas in a bit. But now let's take a look at an interesting report that's come in on the power space. Now, this report suggests that India has raised its forecast of peak electricity demand for the next couple of years. Vivek is here with more details. Vivek, we know that power demand was surging in the last, I think it was August, September when it hit its peak for the year. What is this latest report saying? What are the new numbers looking like?
Well, you're absolutely right. Just a couple of months ago, you would consider it as peak demand if, the demand actually hit levels of 330 to 340 gigawatts. That would be peak demand. But now, the government is anticipating a further significant surge as far as electricity demand is concerned. What they're saying is that, number one, they've gone ahead and raised the forecast by 5%, and they now expect, the peak demand to now be in the range of 384 gigawatts, and this particular prediction or estimation is till 2032, till the year 2032. Now, what they're saying is that the energy consumption continues to outpace, most of the expectations that they have, and also the kind of capacity buildup that India has, and this will make them go ahead and increase further thermal capacity. So that will be one key takeaway. Apart from that, what they're saying is that the review of forecast was done after the sharp demand that was seen last year, which kind of made them realize that some of the forecasts that they had in the past weren't really up to the mark or weren't really taking into account the strong demand that was seen. What are some of the key reasons? The usage of air conditioners, due to very high temperatures, and also pumps for irrigation that were used last year. Currently, coal is around 70% of total capacity, and that is a trend that is set to continue at least in the near future.
Okay, got that. Thanks very much, Vivek, for putting the latest data and the latest numbers in context with respect to demand expectations. We do have Devin Choksi with us. Deven, good afternoon. Great to have you on the show as always. Well, this has really showed up in stock prices as well. Who would have thought that NTPC will move the way it did in the last 12 months? But the question is, how much is already factored in? Would you look at any additional power plays on the expectation that demand will continue to remain very strong?
Yeah, good afternoon, Sylvie. Well, there is no denial of the fact that I think the power demand is going to increase. On one side, we are talking about significantly putting money behind infrastructure, putting money behind industry expansion, creating the market and the size. So certainly, I think for a variety of applications, the power demand is expected to grow and grow, I think in a comparatively higher proportion to what I think we have seen in the previous years. So there is no denial of the fact. However, at the same time, I think one must understand that this is a business, I think, which is utility-driven business. So it cannot be growing exponentially, neither it can create exponential amount of supply-side situation. It could possibly grow in tandem with, I think, the demand growth, which is currently experiencing. So in my viewpoint, I think we look at any of the power generating companies, particularly, they're adequately priced. Plus, at the same time, I think these companies are putting money back into the creation of capacities. So that's where the CapEx program continues and where the results are going to be seen over a period of time. So I would think that the buying expensive valuations at current level probably, I think, may not give enough amount of return to investors. So unless you wait for some time before which I think you get the price corrected, I think the everything seems to be fully priced at this point of time in variety of stocks, even in private sector as well as public sector.
Indeed, big moves that we've seen over the last few months on these stocks. Hi, Deven. Before we speak about paints with you, let me just put the moves down on the table. Asian Paints down around 4%. We're seeing a big cut come by on names like Berger Paints, etc. as well. And that's largely more so after the Birlas presented their comprehensive plan to enter the paint space. It wasn't something that wasn't known, but the preparedness and the details that they had given to become the number 2 player in the paint industry got the street excited and perhaps some of them nervous about the fate of the existing players as well. So this morning we've got, since this morning we've seen a couple of downgrades that have come by. CLSA has written on Asian Paints. They've downgraded the stock to sell. And they've cut the target price down from 3,200 rupees to close to 2,400 rupees. That's the lowest target price on the street on Asian Paints. They've also cut their earnings estimate by about 8 to 10%. The important reason for the cut down is that because of this competition heating up, there is some derating which is likely, and they are moving their target multiple to the 15-year average multiple. What's the difference? The 15-year average multiple at which Asian Paints is traded is close to around 43, 44 times, as against currently where it's trading between 63, 64 times. So that's gotten them to cut their target price. Goldman Sachs too has lowered their target price from target multiple from 58 times to 52 times. They believe that the Birla strategy was way more comprehensive than earlier assumed. Macquarie has written as well. They don't believe that there would be discounting which will increase for the industry, but they prefer Asian Paints over Berger because they believe that the latter will be a lot more affected by new entrants. Asian Paints, one thing all of them have said, will remain the leader, but there is just a lot of uncertainty right now.
Okay, that's Asian Paints, continues to be under pressure. Thanks for putting that report in context, Mangalam. Let's take that to Deven, actually. Deven, the thing we were discussing here even earlier was that Grasim's entry wasn't new. It's not some new unknown event that's been sprung into investors' face. And yet we are getting this reaction to a very planned event. So what do you think it was? Was it Mr. Birla's very emphatic statement that, 10,000 crores of revenue and profitability in 3 years? Was it that has people worried? And how are you looking at the paint space? What kind of companies would you own here?
Clearly, Survi, to me, I think Asian Paint is a complete home decor company. And a variety of products from starting from paint to the waterproofing solution to the other segment of products, I think, which they have. I believe that at least they have a 20 years lead compared to any competitors, whoever is basically operating at this point of time. So frankly speaking, from the business point of view, I think it's not even moving the needle either way for anybody. I think they continue to grow and operate as far as I think their strategy is concerned. That is what I understand. At the same time, in variety of product and the services which they are providing, I believe that I think they hold an edge, particularly I think from the margin increment point of view. In some of the product categories, I think because of the different chemistry employed, probably the cost of production and is coming around under, and at the same time, I think it's basically giving them the advantage in form of better margin. So in my viewpoint, I think neither the market size is shrinking for them, nor the margin is shrinking for them. On the contrary, if at all something good happening for them is that I think they're getting matured with other verticals which they launched a few years back. So from that perspective, I think Asian Paint remains clearly a winner as far as business part is concerned. Maybe the market valuation get a little bit corrected from premium valuation to reasonable valuation. That's a different story. But that is what I believe that I think will invite some of the mature investors to walk into the market, into the stock, if it is available at corrected valuations.
All right. So you will look at it if it is available at correct prices. Devin, thank you so much for joining in. We'll take a short break. On the other side, we'll get chatting with N. Jayakumar. Jake's some investing ideas, some stock ideas, and how he's seeing the market right now as we speak. Take a short break, come back.
Welcome back. Just looking at some stocks that are moving around in the mid-cap market. Some PSUs, by the way, found takers, not all today, but the likes of Railtel, Hoodco, SJVN, actually even the other railway stocks, Aircon and RVNL, they're all managing to turn positive, and they have about a 1 to 2% sort of a gain on them now. So better than what we had going in the morning on the PSU pack. Anyway, let's move on and welcome in our next guest on the show. We have N. Jayakumar, Group CEO and MD at Prime Securities with us. Jakes, thanks so much for being with us. Always great having you on the show. So, let's get your, your market construct at this point in time, because we've had this pretty good rally, 22,000 plus so far this year. And it's the same leadership. The leadership hasn't changed. It's again PSU stocks. It's again CapEx stocks. Do you see this continuing for a while?
Well, as long as ownership remains peripheral and marginal, the leadership will continue. I don't think too many funds, especially foreign funds, and possibly some local funds have really sort of dug their heels into PSU stocks. So ownership levels are still at the margin, limited or small. The other aspect is that PSUs have been seen as a trading rally and people have participated. But my own feeling is that as long as ownership remains at the margin and not a structural shift in portfolio selection to include PSUs as a core holding, I think up to, we are a long way away from there. My own assessment is that ownership levels being what they are, we are far away from a top in PSU stocks in general. But then you've got to be selective in this. I mean, you can't just pick up every rail stock and every oil OMC stock and expect that you should make money. So I think we need to be selectively bullish. So there could be certain metal plays, there could be certain capex plays in the PSU space without mentioning stock names, which I can say we are very bullish about, or OMCs in general. So these could be 3-4 pockets that we kind of like. But as I said, we are far away from a PSU top anytime soon.
Okay. Far away from a top in PSU stocks anytime soon. Jakes, hi, good afternoon. Good to see you. It's been a while. I'm not sure you're in Mumbai or in Alibag. Where are we talking to you from?
As of now in the well-populated, well-populated areas of Mumbai.
Now you can say the same thing about Alibag. It's well. True.
They're equally well-populated.
Actually, that's quite true. But the air quality is a tad different in Alibag. But having said that, I think for the moment it's in Bombay.
No, thank God. Last 1 week, at least in Mumbai, I mean, has been a little better as compared to before that. Jake, so what's the approach? I mean, how are you? What are you doing? I mean, are you holding on to what you held on to? Are you rotating out of things into new things? Because there is a lot of rotation as well, right? Things do well and then they drop off for a while and then something else runs up. I mean, it's a hard thing to do. That's one way to go. But what are you doing?
You need to be either extremely smart or extremely lucky. And considering that we don't set ourselves up for these two attributes, we have to assume we are old school, we're a little slow to react, and therefore hold on to stocks that we like and continue to ride. I think the aspect of rotation brings about this thing about you constantly trying to maximize your portfolio. I don't think I'm in that either the frame of mind nor have the ability to do it, which is to grab every sector that's moving, every sub-sector that's moving. Sorry, not smart enough for that, and can't even say that I want to be able to get there. A lot smarter players in the market who do this. However, if you're able to come early into an under-owned, under-loved, and undervalued space, then to that extent you have solitude and loneliness on your side, and hopefully that will give you market returns. Because just being where mass public is and which is well populated is not going to assure you of profits. So you need to be there where you can walk a lonely furrow, be slightly ahead of the curve in areas that you get into, and hope that you can hold on long enough to be able to juice out the gains. So I don't really subscribe to the other aspects that you mentioned.
Incredible insight and wisdom out there. Jakes, a space that provides a lot of entertainment and drama, literally, is the media space. I remember you liking some of the names out there as well, in particular something down south. What are your thoughts on that? There's a lot of deals, possibility, and a lot of merger, acquisition, denials, all these things happening. how are you positioned here?
Big elephant in the room right now is Z, and my personal feeling is until that sorts itself out, there will be speculation galore. It's unfortunate what it's had to endure over this period of time, and while it's going through its own sort of trials and tribulations, the other players in the space, whether down south or in the west, are all consolidating pretty well. And my own sense is that pricing power, advertising, subscription revenues, all these have improved in this space. And my own assessment is that consolidation can only lead to a greater habit formation for the players who exist. So I'm bullish about the space for 2-3 reasons. One, again, because it's under-owned, it's got a very low weightage on some of the benchmark parameters that exist. It's got very little ownership in most of the companies. And since the solid companies are largely unlevered, in fact, sitting on cash, I think it's a good space to be in. And most of them have consolidated well. And other than the marginal losing of market share or gaining in regional areas, most of the general entertainment channels, etc., have well-defined leaders. So I quite like the space. I think it's, again, as I said, a space that not too many people are there. And therefore, to that extent, well, people can cry themselves hoarse or go blue in the face saying that company, this large group in the south doesn't have corporate governance, or that group in the west has this issue. The reality is most of these are not borrowing, they're not raising money, and they're good balance sheets. And we need to assess some of these and say we'll take our chances. Multiples are low, valuations are attractive. Therefore, I think it calls for attention in terms of investments.
Okay, fair enough. So some homework perhaps required, and then you can pick the ones that could be winners. Jake's a little short conversation today. We are a little sort of low on time, but thank you very much. Very insightful inputs that you've shared, and we look forward to more the next time you're on the show.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. With that, we do have to hit a quick break, but as we get into the break, let's get you a mega CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Reliance Industries director Anant Ambani, an animal lover, has taken up a very serious, ambitious project of opening the world's largest zoo and animal rescue and rehabilitation center in Jamnagar. Speaking to CNBC Awaz's Anuj Singhal, Anant Ambani speaks more about his love for animals and his vision for this dream project. Here's an exclusive chat.
इस समय इस दुनिया में जहाँ कार्बन क्रेडिट्स और ज़ीरो कार्बन का इतना चल रहा है, ये तो आपके लिए एक आगे जाके बहुत बड़ा बिजनेस साइड ऑफ व्यू से भी बहुत आपके लिए कार्बन क्रेडिट में एक लॉटरी बन सकती है।
ये तो हम खाली जैसा आपको कहा सेवालिया है, यहाँ में बिजनेस का नहीं सोचना, आप तो बिजनेस चैनल से है, बट ये सेवालिया का मौका बहुत कम लोगों को मिलता है। भगवान ने हमें चुना और माताजी और पिताजी का आशीर्वाद रहा, इसीलिए हम ये सब कार्य कर रहे हैं। इसमें कोई बिजनेस एंगल नहीं लाना है, ना तो हम इसे, बल्कि फाउंडेशन ज़रूर मदद करता है, फाउंडेशन के बिना कुछ नहीं होगा। ये ट्रस्ट है, हमारे ट्रस्टीज़ है, और इसमें बट हमें कोई बिजनेस के साथ जोड़ना नहीं, ना तो इसे हम मनोरंजन के लिए इसका इस्तेमाल करेंगे, ना इसे हमेशा हम एक नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, कोई मुनाफा के लिए नहीं।
तो आनंद जी, एक बात बताइए, ये जामनगर जहाँ पर देश की पहली रिफाइनरी, सबसे बड़ी रिफाइनरी आई, देश का सबसे बड़ा मैंगो प्लांट है, जो शायद बहुत लोग जानते नहीं है कि मतलब दुनिया के शायद सबसे बड़े मैंगो प्लांट्स में से एक है। क्या, क्योंकि आप न्यू एनर्जी को लीड कर रहे हैं उस वर्टिकल को, क्या उसकी भी झलक हम आगे आते हुए देखेंगे?
बिल्कुल, अभी हमारा काम जोरों में चल रहा है। हमारे पास हम 4000 एकड़ में डेवलप कर रहे हैं। जब तैयार होगा पहले मैं आपको लेकर आके पूरा घुमाऊंगा।
नहीं, क्योंकि आपके पिताजी का बहुत विजन रहा है, हर एजीएम में उन्होंने इसके ऊपर काफी खास फोकस किया, तो आपके ऊपर काफी
रिस्पांसिबिलिटी है। क्रेडिट कह रहे थे, हम ये पूरा रिफाइनरी को कार्बन, नेट कार्बन जीरो पर लाने का पूरा प्रयास कर रहे हैं, और पिताजी का वो ख्वाब है, जल्द से जल्द हो जाए।
Okay, welcome back. As promised, we have a famed investor, veteran investor, Vijay Kedia with us now. He's managing director at Kedia Securities. Really needs no introduction. Vijay ji, thank you very much for coming in. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. मैंने सोचा था कि हमने जो एक इंटरव्यू किया था उसमें हमने शुरुआत करी थी आप यहाँ आए हैं किस लिए ऐसे शुरू करेंगे लेकिन थोड़ा आई थिंक बट आपने एक नया गाना आपने पुट आउट किया है उसका संभल के रखना कदम.
हाँ, संभल के यहाँ पे पाँव रखना तू
और basically aimed at educating investors not to get drunk on this massive bull market that we have. थोड़ा सा tell us a little bit what was the motivation behind it and
so the ultimately it relates with one of my quote which I had shared with Surbhi in my last interview,
right.
That when there is a party and everybody is dancing, you should also dance, but don't get drunk.
Okay.
So the thing is that this is going in extreme level. This is what I feel. I meet a lot of people, newcomers in the market, first timer, second timer, and nobody is listening anything. They just want to do satta. They just want to do future and option. So I thought this is a right time, to educate investors, to warn investors, but don't get into all this kind of trap and all. I'll tell you, I met one guy at Kochi airport day before yesterday. He came to me and said that he was working with TCS as a software engineer and he quit his job and he was doing some technical things in the lounge and all. He's telling me nowadays I'm a full-time trader.
Wow.
So I said, very good. So since when you are trading say last 1.5 years and how is your response? Well, that's not very good difference. Okay, more than your salary or less than your salary? They said it's okay, same. तो मैं बोला बेटा अभी तो ये तेजी में अगर तू सेम है और एक बार जब राउंड पूरा होएगा तो किधर होएगा तेरे को नहीं मालूम. So yeah, this euphoria is actually is not going to end in a good way. This is what I feel. I may be wrong and I wish I go wrong.
But we can't. Every bull market is different, right? But what you see in the 94 one, you see in the 2008 one, 2001. What does it sort of most? How big is this in that sense, as you see it?
No, you see, I had once said that every mother of bull market is followed by a mother of bear market. Okay. Right. So greater the rise, greater the fall. So ultimately theme is same, pattern is same. Only you can say that ratio or maybe the kind of involvement in the market is humongous, right? 14 crore demat account and so much money is coming. Company is asking for 16 crore and actually they got 16,000 crore in an IPO. So this kind of euphoria. So every time, remember Prashant, वो बचपन में कहानी सुना था. A rat goes to a saint and they say there is afraid of cat and all. तो वो saint ने उसको sage ने उसको चूहा से बिल्ली बना दिया. Then he goes back and said I'm afraid of the dogs. तो उसने उसको dog बना दिया. Then again goes to the sage and say that I'm afraid of the lion. तो उसने उसको lion बना दिया. One day lion was hungry, he tried to attack the sage only. Sage tells him पुनः मुसुको भव. तू वापस जाकर चूहा बन जा भैया. तो ये bull और bear market का ये story यहाँ पर ऐसे ही रहने वाला है. इसमें डरने का बात नहीं है. What I'm trying to tell you is this is like a जीवन चक्र, life cycle.
Right.
You just have to see that how can you safeguard yourself from this thing.
I'd like to share one anecdote because I was sitting down with some of the big fund managers at the country's largest mutual fund house recently, SBI. So the one anecdote that they shared was that beyond the headline number, 17,000 crores SIP, 18,000 crores SIP, there's a lot of lump sum redemption that's also happening. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a sign of some maturity. Thoda log profit bhi saath mein book kar rahe hain. But where do you see the euphoria the biggest, or where do you feel ki yahan pe this is a red flag? In which part of the market or which sector of the market?
I'm not worried about this 17,000 crore. This 17,000 crore is coming in SIP, right?
Yeah.
So that is managed by a experienced manager.
Yes.
Okay, it's 70,000 crore is going to go up to 50,000 crore, maybe 1 lakh crore a month. A time will come, maybe 3-4 years from now. So this ultimately this will keep on rising. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about the people who are coming to invest directly into this market.
Traders. Right.
The newcomer, the first timer was coming into this market without any knowledge. Just they want to gamble only. They don't want to understand what is happening where. They just want to gamble. कि अभी ले लो, कल बेच देगा, सुबह ले लो, रात को.
So basically, it's the new F&O trader, inexperienced F&O trader that you're worried about.
Yes.
Not particularly, a sector or a certain market cap. ऐसा नहीं है कि
उसमें भी है साथ में. ऐसा भी होता है उसमें. Because ultimately it will affect the
some sector
your ecosystem also. So there are froth in some sectors, but that is okay. What I'm more worried about is all these millions of people coming to the market to trade daily. When they will lose money, that will create the sentiment so gloomy in the market for maybe for 2 months, 3 months, for 6 months. I'm worried about that thing.
It's important to, just have a hobby or maybe try trading with a limited risk ability, etc. as well, and do your full-time profession and do your full-time investing is what you're saying, which is not very different from what you do with music. Your music is hobby, your music is education, and you obviously cannot leave your investment because it gives you a lot of money as well, and become a full-time musician, just the way people shouldn't become full-time traders. Let's talk about your business of investing itself then. Look at 3 companies. Sudarshan Chemicals. Everyone's talking about some improvement in the chemical cycle from here. So let's talk about that. Secondly, Precision Camshafts. It's the one stock in so many which is currently up 10% today. So in these 2 particular, what are your thoughts? You still continue to hold stake?
Yeah, I'm continue to hold. I hold for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I don't know. As I always say that I don't have any time target, don't have any price target. I think maybe they will, with time, they will improve their. Sudarshan did not perform in last 4-5 years. Now that is the first company, maybe in chemical sector, to become 10 baggers between 2014 and 2018.
Yes.
And after that, 6 years after that, the company did not perform. So, sub cycle hai, maybe sooner or later, their situation will improve. Now all their expansions are, it's over. So maybe now things will improve going forward.
Vijayji, just to go back to the point about euphoria, are you ringing the alarm bell saying that there's something wrong is going on in that sense, the market is just too overvalued? Because euphoria can be in some sectors hota hi hai wo, right? So just to contextualize that, you're not saying the market is highly overvalued and it is completely gone bonkers. That's not what you're saying, or are you?
No, I think there is a euphoria in this market. This euphoria will not last forever. Ultimately, there is going to be a correction, big correction in this market. I don't know when this correction is going to come. Maybe tomorrow or maybe after 6 months. I don't know. But ultimately, we are in a bull market. I am not saying that we are in a bear market.
Correct.
If you call a 10% or 15% reaction a bear market, then maybe a bear market is there. But I'm not worried about that. I am personally not worried about that. I have thought in my mind, all my stocks will fall 15% or 20% maybe if index corrects 10%.
So just to contextualize, what you're saying is a fall will come and that is a 10-15% fall whenever that happens. That is what you're...
10 to 20% in different pockets because I'm invested in mid cap and small cap.
Absolutely. Okay, got that. Now, for viewers who are watching, and what are you telling them? Don't make mistakes at very high levels. That is the basic message.
I'm saying, yes, exactly. I'm saying if you don't understand, don't do this. Invest through mutual fund. Don't invest directly in the market. Don't trade. Don't go for FNO. So this is what I actually want to give message to this newcomers mainly.
There is a lot of people who say that what we're seeing with the retail investors coming in, 14 crore demats basically, right? That this is how what we've seen in the US as well. Big financialization happens, retail becomes a larger and larger part of the market, and it would be a mistake to underestimate the secular rise of that. कि ये यहाँ से भी काफी बढ़ेगा, right? I think we've spoken about $2 billion now SIP flows every month. So people are putting money through mutual funds as well, and that number is also growing, and they're coming through retail directly as well. So do you think? Don't you think this can, with intermittent falls, which we've not seen unfortunately for the last 2-3 years, so that has not happened, which we saw in previous bull markets, but it's a secular kind of a trend.
That's what I'm saying. We are in a bull market only. This bull market should last for next 10 years. I had earlier said 2 years back that nowadays bear markets are shorter and bull markets are longer. So we are in a super duper bull market, no doubt about it. But you ask any newcomer, are you ready to face 20% erosion in your portfolio or not? You should ask them this thing.
And also if that correction turns out to be a longer one, because as of now what's happening is so-called corrections, they last a week, 10 days, 15 days, that's it. And then you go back and make all-time highs. So a long 2-3 year long drawn out sort of a flat market is something that perhaps a lot of people haven't seen. So again, just coming back to that point on the different pockets where you're seeing exuberance or overvaluation or too much money chasing stocks. I remember earlier when you mentioned that PSU is something you're looking at very, very carefully now. But where all do you see the red sign flashing?
All these stocks only, PSU stocks, defense stocks. Somebody was telling me the company changed its name and put railway behind it. Yes. God, and stock price went up. ये क्या हो गया यार, पागलपन है क्या भाई?
But that happened during the software time as well, right?
Exactly.
It reminds you of the IT boom.
Then what happened
after that? Yes.
After that, what happened?
Got it.
You are right. That software.com में भी ऐसा ही हुआ.
Yes.
145 companies, I read somewhere, 145 companies changed their name and put .com into.
Yes.
और उसके बाद में वो जब खत्म हो गया, 67 companies changed their name from .com. उसके बाद में 42% बढ़ गया. So are we going to invest in such companies जिसको खुद को ही नहीं मालूम है कि उसके बाप का नाम क्या है? Tell me one thing. I am more worried about those kind of things. I am not worried about the good general market. माने of course जो अच्छा company है, I am not worried about them. लेकिन when things will go haywire, everything will be affected.
You know, speaking of that, if I could just ask you about the two new themes, and we've not started seeing big listings, but the sense is that we'll get listings in these space. One is this green energy, green transition, EV. And the second is AI. Now, AI is the new word, right? And do you see a risk where a lot of new companies will come saying that they're participating on these themes, and maybe that could end up leaving some investors burnt?
Of course, ये अभी already आ गया भाई. अभी कुछ कंपनी ने मैंने कोई बता रहा अभी आते आते गाड़ी में आता को AI किसने नाम चेंज कर दिया. तुम्हारा you can also change your name from Surbi to Surbi AI. Surbi AI. Yeah. So I am
Surbi.
Let's talk about real things. Let's talk about things, you know, which we all can see. And ज़मीन आसमान की बात करते हैं. जैसे ज़मीन पे है अतुल ऑटो, आसमान में इंटरग्लोब एविएशन. What exactly is happening in these two as per your recent conversation, analysis, everything?
In Atul Auto?
Yeah. And ऊपर में इंटरग्लोब एविएशन.
ऊपर?
इंटरग्लोब एविएशन हवे में.
नहीं, I don't know. You see, I'm not a spokesperson, of Atul Auto. I'm an investor and I'm also a director, so I have to choose my words carefully. I invested in this company just because they are into EV. They did not change their name after this EV happened. Okay, since the beginning they are into three-wheelers. So it's a progression. It's a transformation from IC engine to EV engine, and ultimately I think so. As this EV things will progress, I think the first transformation in EV in vehicles will happen in three-wheeler. This is what I feel. Three-wheeler will the first to be, जो बड़ा जो होने वाला है revolution.
Bajaj is already kind of there. Doing
Bajaj, Piaggio, and all those five जो पुराने थे, oldies all are there. There are some new companies which I don't know how long they are going to last, because it's not only just on the since you have money, you cannot create a huge network of dealership which is required for EV and all. So I don't know how many will survive and how many will come to sell to me. So that time will tell.
All the disclosed portfolio, which is as if वो हम दिखा रहे हैं TV पे, but इसमें तो वो 0.5% से ज़्यादा जो holding है वही आएंगे. तो नया आप क्या कर रहे हैं? Anything new? Because you continue to invest into the markets. What are you liking? And because opportunities भी हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि everything is overvalued.
आजकल तो मैं नया के नाम पे खाली गाने लिखता हूँ भाई.
That should be telling you about the markets, I guess.
But why is that? Is that because you think valuations are too high, or is that because you are in a different mind space right now? Why is it that you're not searching for something new?
No, I'll tell you, Surbi, what I try to do in this market, as I had said this earlier also, like suppose a train is starting from A to Z, it is traveling from Churchgate to say from Virar, for example. So I'd like to board a train from Churchgate.
Yes.
Or maybe from Bombay Central.
Okay.
ठीक है, वो Z पे पहुंचने वाला जो ट्रेन है वो V पे या T पे या U पे पहुंचा है.
I don't want to board that. You will never get a proper seat.
अभी आप चर्चगेट स्टेशन पे खड़े हो, कौन सी ट्रेन्स दिख रही है आपको?
नहीं, अभी आप लोग ही दिख रहे हैं मेरे को.
He's not answering. He is investing. He continues to. But क्या मतलब anything new that you've bought, you like?
Nothing. I did not buy any new shares here.
But study. I mean, anything new that you're studying?
No, nothing. I'm studying about songs only.
Which train of yours has reached Virar, and we see a few.
No, actually, मेरा जो ट्रेन है ना, वो विरार वाला भी नहीं है. वो उसको कोई destination नहीं है. मैं जो that's why I have always said that I invest in. I don't have any price target, nor do I have any time target. So all my trains are without any destination. Wanderer है.
So since आप कह रहे हैं that right now it's not so much about studying stocks and companies, but it's music that's captivating your mind.
Yeah.
What say? Should we push him to maybe give us one or two lines from the new one?
आप लोग सुनो यार, मेरे को क्या मुझे सुनने का? इतना पैसा खर्चा किया भाई मैंने.
But they say, right, कि CD तो सब सुन सकते हैं, लाइव सुनने में जो अलग कॉन्सर्ट्स का मजा है.
चलिए आपको we'll have you over for the.
I just want to say there is a froth, there is a euphoria in SME. This is what I have written in the song also.
Yeah.
There is a euphoria.
Yeah.
That does not mean that all SME stocks are are bad or junk. I'm not saying that. SME is a beautiful platform to get all these good companies listed in the market. There's 63 million SME in India. I read somewhere. So sooner or later, many of it will come in thousands. But one has to be careful while selecting that where should I invest. There is a euphoria in IPO. There is a euphoria in future and option.
Yeah.
You know, 400 times what जो cash का जो volume है.
400 times F&O.
400 times F&O volume larger than the cash market volume.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about only those things.
I think आपका जो गाना है उसमें लास्ट में मुझे एंडिंग बड़ा पसंद आया. ये मत बोलना कि विजय
फिर मैं कहना विजय तूने टोका नहीं क्यों.
चलिए नहीं बिल्कुल बढ़िया बात है. टोकना चाहिए और थोड़ा वार्न करना चाहिए at high. So thank you very much.
He's
for coming
upskilling
here.
himself as well. You know, on the video we saw him dancing along with singing. That's a fresh one.
But he's
And one more more thing I would like to tell you, Prashant. Whatever I write, whatever I sing, nobody is going to listen anything. A close relative of mine, okay, very close relative of mine. So I sent her the song in the morning. She had already heard the song. तो मेरे को बोलती है कि बहुत बढ़िया सॉन्ग है भाई साहब, मजा आ गया. मतलब ठीक है. फिर मेरे को बोलती है भाई साहब कुछ नया शेर बताओ क्या लिखें. आई एम टेलिंग यू, तो मेरे घर की बात है सपोज. तो मैंने उनको मेरी लाइन लिख कर भेज दी. रोज रोज नया वो जो इसमें गाया मैंने. रोज रोज नया ही लेने का भाई क्या बात.
बार-बार थोड़ा when we hear it on repeat, then that's when investors will the message will sink in.
Absolutely. Vijay, thank you very much for dropping by. Great to have you with us here as always. Appreciate it. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll take a quick commercial break here. We are down, I think, about 100 points or so, 22,100 on the index. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're watching us here on Closing Bell. Good time to get in the tomorrow trade. Mitesh is with us. Mitesh, your thoughts? What to buy today or sell today for a reverse trade tomorrow?
I have a STMT on Navin Fluorine. I think that's trading towards the low of the day. The structure is negative. So STMT here with a stop at 31.22 for targets of 30.70, 30.65. And the one which I like on the upside is Oberoi Realty, trying to bottom out and give a reversal. So that's a BTST with a stop below 1360 for targets of 1400.
Okay, all right, Mitesh got that. By the way, Mitesh, I was just looking at HDFC Bank. It failed to hold on to any little bit of green. I mean, when we started Closing Bell today, it was still up about 1%, but now it's slipping fast. And anyway, I mean, the other large cap bank stocks are anyway dragging their feet today, and that's a sell down in HDFC Bank. Mitesh, just a final word on banks in general, the selling that we've seen in HDFC Bank. Would you look at any trades here?
One, I think the bank nifty chart, is slightly turning negative. So I don't want to go long in banks. I think it's just trading above the pivot of 46,500, 2530, but these spot levels of bank nifty. But the structure and the indicator setup is not very encouraging. Secondly, HDFC Bank is within the banking pack itself an underperformer. And I think, while the signs that the decline or the strong movement on the downside might be over, there is no sign of a reversal on the upside. So it could just chop around between the levels of 1380, which was the recent closing low, to about 1460, which is where the pivot points are placed on the upside. So it might just be a sideways kind of a stock.
All right, Mitesh, thank you so much for joining in and giving us your tomorrow trade. So let's start to wind down things. It was an interesting day of trade where the market opened slightly flattish, thereafter saw a bit of a decline. Then somewhere midday we saw a bit of a recovery. All in all, it was a range-bound trade where the Nifty is actually ending lower by about 100 points. The Nifty Bank continues to underperform, down about 250 points. In fact, from Friday's high, the Nifty Bank is down closer to 700 points. The mid-cap index as well showed signs of recovery during the day, but thereafter ends with a cut of almost 200 points, with way more stocks declining than the number of stocks which are advancing. 1,400 stocks in the red for about 900 stocks which are in the green. The top notable gainers, we had the likes of L&T, Power Grid, Adani and Tata Consumer. On the way down, we had Asian Paints, Apollo Hospital, Hindalco, DV Slabs, all of them on the lower end of things. Asian Paints, of course, because of the fears of competition coming.
Okay, on the mid-cap screen, there's a fair amount of red, though it's the mid-cap index hasn't fallen as much as the Nifty. But if I talk about the red areas, Alchem, because of this whole report suggesting that there are some income tax issues or the company is denied it, 7.5% down on Alchem. Tata Tech has had a weak session today, 5% down on this newest kid on the block from the Tata stable. Then we've had some sell down in a couple of PSU names like New India Assurance down 5%, Irida is down 5% as well. And by the way, of course, Rain Industries, bad numbers for Rain, 8% down on that stock as well. So those are the losers. The mid-cap gainers would include names like PB Fintech, then 361 Wealth Management, big day for the stock, 7.5% up, and even Paytm managed a bit of a 5% up move. But largely speaking, all the key benchmark indices going home in negative territory. So a weak start to the week. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Closing Bell. Many thanks for being with us today, but don't go anywhere because all the market action will continue. Markets Forward coming up next.